Hello, hello! Welcome to Behind the Universe. We're taking another look behind the scenes of a pay-per-view, and today we are taking a look at SummerSlam. I'm making this video... I decided to put SummerSlam up a day early, so you're welcome. That'll come out later today, the day I'm recording this. This video, I don't know when it'll come out. It'll come out eventually. So... some interesting things happened with this SummerSlam pay-per-view. One thing in particular, something, I don't know if I'd call it unprecedented. It's something I can't recall ever doing before, or at least not in a very long time. I had to change the finish of one of the matches. I changed the finish of the world title thing. So what I had wanted to do, I wanted to have kind of like a cool spot to end it. So I was going to try to mix some moves. So we were going to try to do this European uppercut into a coquina clutch. But that does not work because Samoa, that's not a good edit. That's a terrible edit because, for one thing, Cesaro is like way off to the side of Joe. That would never have worked. I guess spoilers for the SummerSlam show, but you should know that if you're watching this video. If you haven't already seen it or seen the highlights video, which may or may not be out before this video. I don't know what order I'm doing things. But yeah, Joe's arms are down here. They're suddenly up here. That's a jump cut. That's bad. At the time, I thought it would work because it was one of those things where I thought I could fix it in post, that it would work fine. If I cut between camera angles, I might be able to make it work, but no, there was too much going on here. Cesaro's arm completely moves, and I couldn't change, because, with Cesaro's momentum, he would have to jump straight into the hold, so I couldn't pick any earlier shot of Joe, actually grabbing around the neck. So this finish did not work. I had to go back, as I was editing it, I had to go back and re-record the finish. So, yeah, that was the first time I had to do something like that. Don't recommend it. I just gotta be a little more careful with how I do my edits. I thought this would work. It did not. So, yeah, instead, I think the finish that I ended up going with was a little bit clunkier, but this just would not have worked. I thought it was gonna look smoother than it ended up being, so that was a bad. It also doesn't help that the original... See, I wanted more options for camera angles, so I used the highlight reel, but unfortunately, there's this stupid glitch in the game where people switch places, and you can't fix it. You can't change the superstars where they appear, and sometimes they'll just randomly flip spots, so this footage, I can't use it, because Cesaro and Joe swap places. Obviously, Cesaro's not applying the coquina clutch, Joe is, so I couldn't use it. See, I got tripped up at first, because I was like, wait, why is Samoa Joe bleeding? I was looking at an earlier shot as it also happened, because I had a couple of cutaways I wanted to use. But no, so that footage was trashed, so I couldn't use that. What's this thing here? Oh, yeah. Stuff going on with the finish. I will have to go back to use that footage later for one of the first 2K19 episode, because there's the controversy. What's going on with Joe? His shoulders are down. Triple H overturned the decision. What's happening there? It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah. Oh, I didn't do my overall timeline shot, which I guess I don't always do, but I'm gonna do that this time. This is what we're looking at. I guess I don't necessarily. Oh no. I guess I do kind of need the layers with how I did this. I could probably mix some things, I could just adjust the audio levels there, but I also probably could move on to a different editor. People say that Premiere is pretty good, especially now that I make the anime videos too. There's just a little more you can do in Premiere. But for the wrestling videos, Sony Vegas works just fine, so I'm gonna stick with it for the time being. But yeah, this fairly easy edit, just lower the opacity. It doesn't necessarily look the greatest, I suppose, but with using this footage, I'm always worried that the transition stuff is gonna get copyright claimed, because that happened to me once. I forget what show it was. It was way back in maybe like 2K16 or something. But I used the footage from the game, and yeah, YouTube was not having that. It got claimed for whatever reason. So now I always try to do something custom with the intro. Sometimes I'll put like effects on it to like glitch out the footage or whatever, just to make it look different, like I did that with Battleground. But yeah, of course, theme song was Monster by Royal Bliss. That'll be in the highlights package, so look out for that. Yeah, we had the opening match, Neville versus Sami Zayn. I don't think anything really noteworthy happened here, other than just making sure that I get these camera angles to work. Some of them work. They don't always. Like, when a superstar would be busted open, that can be tricky to get the angles to work. You might have to go through it a couple of times, because I know in the world title match, there was a shot where Cesaro was, like, really busted open, like his face was entirely covered, like he had that crimson mask, but he only had a little blood at the time in the footage. But the camera angles, because I guess it's after the match, like it's tough for it to process all of that. I don't know, it's weird. And then I also had the inverse effect, where I had a superstar. There was one with Seth Rollins where he was, you know, he had the crimson mask, and the game, because I hadn't gone through it, because I didn't realize this was an issue, which now for, you know, the next time I do this, I will know. But it was showing that Seth Rollins basically wasn't bleeding, which obviously doesn't work for the footage where his face is all red. It kind of needs to be there. So that's something to look out for. Nothing super noteworthy. Standard, I had to mask this out. Sometimes I do my own custom replay sort of graphics. I did that for Cyber Sunday. Most of the time I just try to take from the game. Sometimes get a little lazy with the masks. Don't look at it for too long. If you do, you might notice a few hiccups here and there, but usually nobody does. Nobody really looks at it super closely. They're just focused on the footage, and that's fine. It gets the job done. If this were a more professional project, I might try to be a little more squeaky clean, might try to be a little better, but it's fine. It's just a YouTube video. People don't really care. As long as it looks fine, it works. Don't think there was anything noteworthy in the tag match. Other than that, I just hate working with tag team matches. This was probably my least favorite match on the card, the Club versus the Outcasts. I had the idea in mind for it. I knew how I wanted the finish to go, but like there was the spot where Anderson, they hit the Magic Killer, and I was planning on Bo Dallas breaking it up. That didn't happen, so Slater had to kick out on his own power, and so I had to like explain in commentary that like, oh, Anderson, I had to do like a crowd cutaway because the footage didn't work. Like, Dallas is here, and something happened. It didn't match up well, so I had to cut together two different shots, and I had to just kind of explain on commentary, well, Anderson was taunting, he'd bleh. I just don't like working with tag team footage. It's too unpredictable. It gets even worse when it's like six-man tag, because you got to make sure everyone's in the right place. People don't always do what you want them to do. It's gross. Here's Rusev versus Kurt Angle. Nothing really noteworthy to speak of in the edits there. I always have trouble getting these shots with the TV to work, because if you look super closely, you might notice. Also, I don't know how this footage will show up in the final YouTube uploads. Maybe I'll try to zoom in a little more. I can't zoom in that far. I'd have to squish this. Yeah, but if you look super closely, you'll notice that, like, this doesn't line up perfectly, because for whatever reason, the TV, I guess, isn't the same widescreen as, like, this footage. So, to match that up properly, I'd have to push it out further, and then it cuts into this part. So sometimes I do that, sometimes I do it this way. Again, it's another one of those things, people don't usually look too hard at it. It's fine, it serves its purpose well. For just a YouTube video. I'm not the, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not like the highest echelon of like film editing quality. I don't know. So yeah, we got this match, nothing really happens, noteworthy editing wise. Yeah, nothing noteworthy there. Then there's Miz versus Cody Rhodes. This is weird. Like, why is there no referee in a steel cage match? It it was kind of awkward to call on commentary because they'd go for a pin and you can hear the crowd count, but there's no referee in there counting the pin. I don't get it. It was sort of an awkward match to call because obviously it being, like, the conceit of the steel cage is to trap people inside. Like, yes, they can't escape the cage, but the gimmick is usually that you try to contain the people in the cage. So pinfalls are kind of a key part. This bar, there's no way I could really edit that out without super zooming in on Rhodes, and it would have just looked ugly because the bar follows him. Fortunately, I did not have any issues here with the highlight reel. It was only the world title match where I had any issues with the highlight reel. So this one worked fine. I was able to cut away, get this nice sort of overhead shot of Rhodes doing the dive. Then we edited in a holy shit chant because yeah, this guy dies off the cage. Gotta get the holy shit because that's a holy shit moment. Or I'm sorry, as the PG-ified WWE would call it, the OMG moment. So maybe we could get a crowd chant of everybody going OMG, OMG. No, that'll never catch on. So this is just a King of the Ring graphic I got from, I think, WWE 2K16, and I just did a little zooming in and out on it to just spice it up so it's not just a what's the word? Static graphic. There, that's the word, static. And we have, of course, the text here. This is something I threw together again, just sort of last minute. More images from 2K16 that I think I used in the King of the Ring show, or I had planned to use it and never did use them, but I still had them on my computer. I still have a lot of the older stuff. Like, I have a lot of my transition screens that I do. Because, like, in the games, with the transitions, typically, like, you can get it from Universe Mode, where it'll cut from the loading screen to... No, wait. No, usually when you load up a match, it'll cut from, like, the match graphic to the transition, and then it'll fade to black before the entrances come up. But I always want my transitions to go from, like, fade to black, like, fade from black to black, if that makes sense. So, like, black, transition, black. That way it's just, it's not, there's no other graphic to conflict with it. So I tend to splice it together from having a shot, like, when it'll load the show in Universe, it'll fade from black to the show. So I'll take that fade from black and then match it to a fade to black for one of the matches. And then I'll cut it together, make sure the audio is, you know, I'll take one of the audio tracks, provided that there's no, like, background music playing with it. And then I will just render it out as a separate file. So then I can just copy paste that transition over and over again. This time I had to sort of unlink the audio just to make sure that it faded the way I wanted it to. So yeah, that's how I did that. There's more of the graphics by Skino. Thanks again to Skino. Makes good stuff. Been doing the graphics for me since Extreme Rules, and they always look great. So I gotta give Skino the credit for that. I'm not super great with graphics work, but then I'm also kind of lazy with it. I could be better if I tried, and I just haven't really put in that much work. I kind of stopped putting in the work when I realized that, hey, I can just have someone else do this. Because, you know, it'll take me a while to get up to stuff like that, making it look that good. I do my thumbnails and whatnot, like Universe Mode stuff, the regular episodes, I do those. Oh, man, the Brian Kendrick, what the hell? 2K, not getting him in the game. Apparently, there's some sort of, like, contract thing there. Although I don't know what Smack Talks' source was, so I don't know how true that is. I've learned to not just trust things I hear in a YouTube video, unless, like, they're cited, because you never know where people get their information, and I don't want to spread misinformation. Regardless, Brian Kendrick not in the game, so that I wasn't expecting, because Kendrick's still on the roster as far as I'm aware. I don't follow the current product, but as far as I'm aware, he's still with the company. You have, like, Tommaso Ciampa, Nikki Cross, they're not in the game, which this would be a nice moment where if I had, you know, a decent PC where I could just get the PC version of the game and then I could just get those guys modded in, but no, I don't. Some more stuff backstage. What else goes on? Entrances, yeah, got some custom themes in there, like TJ Perkins's Cruiserweight Classic theme, just because I don't really like his, like, there's nothing wrong with his entrance theme, the 8-bit video game thing, but just for the character I'm going for, he's not a gamer, so it would make no sense to have the 8-bit sort of theme. I just like his Cruiserweight Classic theme, so I wanted to run with it. That's what I did when I first debuted him in 2K17, and I'm sticking with it. So yeah, the match goes on, match ends. There's this promo which I made for the episode of Monday Night Raw to hype up the match, and I decided, yeah, I'll put it in the show proper. So that's there. Got to make sure that the audio balances out so it's on its own track there. Just lowered it down a bit so the audio wouldn't peak. I don't think anything noteworthy stood out from this match. Yeah, so stuff happens. There's the Balor promo. That had no significance at the time. That wasn't foreshadowing for anything. No, that was just there to break things up. Yeah, Rollins Corbin. This was a fun match. See, it was funny because when I edited together the Sami Zayn Adrian Neville match, I'm like, I was worried that was going to be the match of the night, that I wasn't going to top that. At the time, I had also, I think, recorded this match, so I thought this would be the next contender. This was before I made the world title matches, which, I don't know, what did you think was the match of the night? I did consider SummerSlam as kind of like the sequel to WrestleMania, because, I mean, SummerSlam, it is a big show like that. But then also, like, it ended up being 3.5 hours, and I was like, wow, that was a long show. But then I look back at my other shows, like Payback and Extreme Rules, and they were about 3.5 hours, and I was like, oh, so it's not that special. I thought the matches were, obviously, like, the build-up for the matches was more time went into it. And I thought the matches, like, the quality of the matches was better. Because I don't really remember many super standouts from Payback. Extreme Rules, I know, had the Fatal 4-Way, that was fun. But, yeah, I definitely am glad that I'll be cutting back on the pay-per-views, because that was like a month or so, maybe not a full month, but it took a couple of weeks at least to get the show together. Whereas I could be, like, I want to progress the stories. That's my main concern. This was a fun edit. We just did the static, which was just stock footage I have from some video package I got at some point. I don't remember. This was interesting. So I put in a little resonant filter here to make it have that humming, because I didn't want it to be silent because it sounded weird, but I didn't want to have just stock crowd noise there because that didn't sound right either. So I did this, I've added this effect to a piece of music. This is just kind of like a, I've used it before. I don't remember what I used it for, but it was just kind of like a background, not the same hum effect, that was all from the filter, but it was sort of like sinister sounding, low rumbling music, so I just put the filter over it, and it came out pretty nice. It had that nice hum effect, which you heard if you watched the show. Six-man tag, again, annoying. I don't like tag team matches. The only one, like, I liked the SmackDown tag team title match because it was, I kept it simple, I guess. Because even then, like, keeping Tyler Breeze out of the match for most of it, it still took about 10-15 minutes to complete the match. This one was supposed to be short, and it still ended up going about, I guess the match would have started here. So it went for about 10 minutes, you know, factoring in the edits, give or take a few. And even then, like, I was lucky that I wanted to do this cutaway. Six-man tags are just annoying. I don't know why I still book them, but I can't really just avoid them. Some more stuff with the highlight reel, and yeah, things breaking down, replays, something from the highlight reel, backstage, more highlight reel, more promo stuff. Now that I figured out how to get that, just the black bar at the bottom working, as I didn't want to use that before, because sometimes the way I would crop things, the little logo, not logos, but the buttons, the button prompts would still be there, but this is kind of weird. Like, the one that I used last year was even bigger. It took up like half the screen because I would load it with text, and I didn't like that, so I made it smaller this year. I might change it again and just go with the black bar because it's less color, less jarring. I don't know. Nobody really ever complained about it, so I guess maybe I'm worrying about nothing. More highlight reel, backstage brawl stuff. Here's the promo I made for the world title match, which I didn't make a separate upload because I originally was not going to. I hadn't originally made these promos. I just kind of decided to put them together as I was working on the show. I thought, you know, let's do something a little extra because I wanted. While I wasn't really expecting SummerSlam to outdo WrestleMania, I still want to try to improve. So, like, the goal was to make SummerSlam better than WrestleMania, even if it wasn't as long. So, like, I think it definitely flows together better as a show because back then I would transition directly from one match to the next, or one segment to the next. This time I broke it up with the little interludes, the commentary, which I started doing back at Payback, I think. I started breaking things up with the commentary. So I figured, why not? It's a main event. It's had quite a bit of build-up, so we'll do the promo here, which I don't have the source file for anymore because I got rid of it as soon as I edited it because I didn't really need it for anything else. So the world title match happens. I already went over the finish. Did anything else happen? No, just a lot of stuff. I'm glad that we now have the option to break out of pins using the superstar doing the pin, because otherwise this would have been impossible to do in one take. I would have gotten pinned, I would have made mistakes so many times, so it's nice to be able to do all this in one take. That was nice. I'm able to enjoy the match as it's happening, which I know was a problem I had with one of the things I made. I think it was the Tag Team Gauntlet at WrestleMania. Not the Tag Team Gauntlet, the Fatal 4-Way Elimination Tag Team matchup, because it was all spliced together from different clips. And so it didn't feel like match of the night to me because I didn't experience that myself. Like, even watching it on commentary didn't really have the same feeling. Like, when I put a match together and I record a match, like when I did Rollins Corbin or Zayn Neville, when I finished that match, I was like, yeah, that was a damn good match. I enjoyed it. It might be match of the night. I didn't have that feeling when I don't get that feeling when I have to splice together multiple different clips. Especially for something like the Tag Team Fatal 4-Way, where it was so editing intensive. I never got that immersive feeling with it, because I was always hands-on cutting things together. Another promo, this one I did upload, and again, I just like this better, because it's less stand out. It does the job, like it helps the text pop off the background a bit more, it does a little more to provide contrast there, but at the same time, it's not like a big blue or gray distraction. It's less of an eyesore, I guess. So I might do this for my future promos. I don't know. Just thought in my head recently. Yeah, I guess I never really talked about the custom attires because I'm not super great with custom attires. Not everybody got one, but you know, I gave them to the people who I felt needed them. 2K19, I'll try to do more custom attires. 2K18, I didn't really do any because I didn't make very many videos, so the attires never got old to me because I didn't touch the game all that much. Some people were kind of disinterested by it, which makes sense because if you're someone who's been watching the game, like, it doesn't feel like a year has passed. It doesn't feel like a full game cycle has passed for me because I only made 23 videos. But it has. It's been a year. So, yeah. Next year, we'll try to do a little better. That's why I'm breaking up the pay-per-views a little more, because I am just incapable of not going all out with a pay-per-view. Like, I can't stop. I have a problem. So, the only way I could really do it to try to actually stay consistent with uploads was do the schedule I decided to do in my update video, which if you haven't seen that, check that out. My 2K19 plans, that was the title of it. Oh, right, before I forget, are we just not going to talk about how when Kevin Owens went to do his apron powerbomb thing, the announce table at ringside just randomly exploded? Yeah, I don't know why that happened. It just did. Because I guess it was uncovered, and Nakamura got thrown to ringside, and the announce table just exploded. So I just ignored it on commentary because I figured if I was somehow able to not see it while I was recording the match and I only noticed it in editing, maybe if I just didn't address it, nobody would notice it. But yeah, that happened. That was a thing. Anyways, how I got on that tangent was this matchup. The story of the match, obviously Nakamura going for the Kinshasa. Owens keeps dodging it until it finally gets hit on the outside. I don't know. Was this... I was torn between what should be the main event, the WWE title or the World Heavyweight. I went back and forth. Like, I was going to do... When I did the 6-man tag, I had decided I was going to do the WWE title match next, because I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. This might be better suited for when I get to it in Behind the Universe WWE 2K18, but I'm going to talk about it now anyway, so I don't forget by then. Because it was about how do I want to end the show. Did I want to end the show on a cliffhanger with the Finn Balor reveal and the world title fiasco? Did I want to end on that cliffhanger, or did I want to have more of a squeaky clean finish? Did I want it to end with a definitive winner? And WrestleMania, I kind of did something a little different, where it had the definitive winner, but there was the injury with Dolph Ziggler, and there was that more somber finish as he walked out with he was walking out injured. Was it the last we've seen of Dolph Ziggler? So I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure, because the WWE title feud, I felt like this promo felt more main event. It had a more main event feel than this other one that I did, because this was more of a clip show and cool looking effects showcase, whereas this was more of a, like, I had already done the contract signing with the two men, so I didn't really want to do another text promo like this one. Whereas these two, I feel like they've interacted less. They've said less to each other, so it worked. And with the music, this just felt more main event, so that's ultimately what I decided to go with. I decided to let the finish be cleaner, give us a definitive winner in Kevin Owens, rather than the fiasco with Finn Balor and Triple H in the world title. But I was back and forth, because this one I almost felt like was the better match, which, people can disagree, people can agree. It's all up to your own opinion. Me personally, I think I probably preferred this one. The fight forever chant that was in there, and just the way it played out, the way it progressed. Probably preferred this matchup, but this one was also good. And plus, the other thing I was thinking of is just the atmosphere going into each match. If I had had Owens Nakamura go first, I think there would have been more of an expectation that, Owens is probably going to retain, or, less of a, because with how long Owens' title reign has been, I sort of assumed that people would think, well, if it's the main event, like, if Owens is going to drop the title, it's going to be in a main event. It's going to be the headline of the show. So, like, obviously, I knew that I wasn't going to have Nakamura win, but I kind of wanted to create the illusion that he could win. That's what booking's all about, is you got to convince people, like, even if people think they understand you and, like, they suspect what you're going to do, you still want to try to fool them into thinking the opposite. And that's what some people have said that I'm good at doing, is, like, they'll know what I'm going to do, but I present it in such a way that still gives them doubts, and that's what I like. I like doing that. I don't like being too predictable, but sometimes, as I've said before, predictability is not a bad thing. Because just being unpredictable like I used to do in my older series, like, Undertaker joins the Shield, being unpredictable doesn't always lead to the most cohesive storylines. But yeah, I decided we'll make the WWE title the main event to give people that illusion that Nakamura may win, that the title reign might finally come to an end. And plus, I don't know, like, I guess I was worried about, like, people feeling cheated by the finish of this match, which, again, was kind of the point, because Joe won the match and got screwed, which, more controversy will be addressed on, well, in the future, it will be addressed, it has to be. So, like, I didn't know if I wanted to end the show with people feeling, I didn't know if I wanted to end with this cliffhanger and leave people wanting more, but also potentially feeling robbed, whereas this matchup had a clean finish, there was a definitive winner. It wasn't like the happy ending, which neither match would have given that happy ending, so it would have been one or the other. So I decided to just go with this, give that definitive finish, the definitive win. And I think that covers everything. But yeah, that was SummerSlam. I hope you enjoyed that show. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little rambly. I haven't done one of these in a while. I need to get back to doing more Behind the Universe and the Universe Mode 101 and stuff like that. Maybe I'll try to do, I don't know. I'll figure something out. I'll get things working again. Also, another issue I had with the SummerSlam show was this. Sometimes the audio for Audacity would freeze up, or Windows Media Player would freeze up because I play the videos back. I don't play it through Vegas. I play it through. I render the videos out as a video file, and I play it through. I watch it back through Windows Media Player and do commentary from there. But Audacity, just my computer in general, has been giving me some issues lately. So like either Windows Media Player would freeze up and I wouldn't be able to look at the footage, or Audacity would freeze up like it's doing right, and I wouldn't know if it's cutting out audio or not. So I ended up having to go over to my other laptop and like watch the footage through that and then just run Audacity. So it was a weird setup. There was even a point during... Well, there were a couple of points. One of them was during the world title match where it was in the final segment where Audacity started freezing up, so I went back and re-recorded the lines for the Finn Balor return because I didn't know if the audio was going to work, and I was able to catch it while I was playing the video back, or while I was still watching it, so I just went back and redid it and lined up the audio again for the next match. That was annoying, but then there were certain times in the matches where the audio would skip out, and I'd have to go through bit by bit and realign it to make sure everything was still in sync. It was annoying. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know why. I'm not good with computers, which I should be. I should probably learn, be a little better with the tech stuff, be a little more tech savvy, but I'm not. Maybe I'll get there one day. But yeah, that does it. That's all my tangents. Thanks for tuning in to this Behind the Universe, and I will see you next time. Keep on YouTubing.